Every time I see on like a cooking competition, when they say risotto, I'm like, ooh girl, drama, because somebody's gonna mess it up. And I had never made it before, just because I had seen so many failures on TV. I've seen a lot of competition shows where somebody is making risotto and somebody fails. Several somebodies usually fail. And now that I've made it several times, I think I understand why. I'm here to tell you that it's not a mistake that you're gonna make at your house. If you have toddlers, if you have small children, if you babysit, if you have a needy dog, you can make risotto. The first ingredient that's kind of non-negotiable is your rice. It is a special rice. It has to be arborio rice. And what's special about this rice is not only is it kind of like short and stumpy and fat, which I find super relatable, it's also much starchier than a lot of other rices because it's processed less. The starchiness is what gives risotto that super creamy texture. So you have to use this kind of rice or you're not going to wind up with the same end product. Another ingredient that I recommend having specifically for this recipe is a dry white wine. You use about a half a cup of it, and if you don't keep alcohol in the house, that's totally okay. You can buy cooking wines. They're usually available where you buy vinegar. And if you have white wine, this is a use that your family won't judge you for. A third ingredient that's really important for a delicious risotto is Parmesan. And the only thing I have to say here is that it doesn't have to be super fancy. I would not recommend using the like super grated stuff. I think that you'll be so much happier if you upgrade to any of the like pre-shredded or block varieties. The last really important element I think for a great risotto is a cream element. Whether you use whole milk or half and half or cream, really whatever you have on hand, that'll give it that extra push to go into creamy dreamland. It's gonna be vegetables only. And while it's not completely vegetarian because I am gonna use chicken stock, you can definitely make it vegetarian by using vegetable stock. So this one's for you, little sister. And what I did was I just bought a bunch of white mushrooms and an 8-ounce box of baby bellas. You could definitely make this risotto with chicken or a sausage and make it super filling, super savory. But to be honest, I've made this one before and I don't even miss having the meat in there. That's what she said. So I'm just cutting the mushrooms into large bite-ish pieces, but the bottom line is I'm just cutting them so that they are significantly larger than the rice grains and larger than the minced shallots that are going to go in. The only thing that I don't like is when a risotto is a little one note on texture. I don't like it to seem like a porridge. I like to use my Dutch oven, but it's totally up to you. You can use a Dutch oven or really any deep-sided skillet that you have. If you have a stainless steel one, those work really well too. I just feel like I'm less likely to make a huge mess. And I've got the heat on in front here at about medium high. So this recipe calls for 6 total cups of liquid that's going to go into your risotto. And so what I've done is I made 3 cups of chicken stock with water. I brought that to a boil and I used this little powdered guide that I got in bulk from Costco. And then after I got that to a boil, I stirred it up, made sure everything was dissolved, and then I added 3 cups of milk and turned the heat way down. I wasn't trying to boil the milk, but I really liked the way my risotto turned out when I cooked it with milk. It had the same texture as if I'd used cream, and that's one last thing for me to keep in my refrigerator, because since I have a toddler, I have whole milk on hand all the time. Now that our pot is pretty well heated, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of oil, and then I'm going to go ahead and drop those mushrooms in. And we're just going to let those cook down for a few minutes. I've kept the burner back here on low because I want that liquid to stay nice and hot. I don't want it to boil, We're not aiming to boil the rice at any time, but you don't want to dump cold or lukewarm liquid in with that rice. You want to keep it cooking and not interrupt that cooking process. So the mushrooms are starting to look a little more done. They've been sauteing for about 4 or 5 minutes. They've got some juice in there. So what I'm gonna do is take and dump all of that into a bowl, and then they'll hang out and wait until our rice is done to be incorporated back in. My Dutch oven is empty again. It's really important that you have everything laid out and ready to go right now. I have a little half cup measuring cup that I'm going to keep by my stock and milk mixture. I have my rice, I have my shallots and garlic, and first things first, we're going to throw those shallots and garlic in there, about another tablespoon or tablespoon and a half of oil, and you want to saute these until you can smell them. They don't need to get soft or be fully cooked because that rice is going to be in there. At this point in the process, you are chained to this stove. You're not allowed to leave. You cannot go to the bathroom. You may not pass go, nor may you collect $200. You are here until dinner is ready. So now that these are nice and fragrant, I'm going to add my rice. I still have the heat on about medium high, and I'm just going to start turning it. We're going to give it about 2 to 3 minutes until the rice is toasty-ish looking. It will turn a little bit yellow and just look kind of toasty. And in the meantime, I just keep pushing it around the pot so that it doesn't get scorched. So once you're satisfied with the level of toastiness happening in your pan, you're going to add that white wine. And this is a one-time add. And then you just wait until you see all of the liquid is absorbed, and then it's time to start adding stock. A half a cup at a time. And you're just waiting until each addition is absorbed. As arborio rice cooks, it loses its opacity. So the outside of the grain will start to look a little more translucent and a little more translucent until all you have left is a translucent looking piece of rice with a white grain on the inside. And that's what you want to see. Now, I feel like as you start to creep up to 20 minutes, it becomes a little more important to taste it right after every addition of liquid, just because you don't want to miss that perfect bite where it's still really al dente but nice and soft on the outside. So I'm going to add the last of this stock, and then as soon as it's maybe 2/3 of the way absorbed, I'm going to cut off all the burners, and that's right at 22 minutes. I think every time I've made risotto, it's been like right at 22 minutes. But you can see I haven't added any cheese, I haven't put those mushrooms in yet, and it is so dang creamy. It's wonderful. Okay, so now I'm gonna add back our mushrooms, including the juice, and I'm also gonna add the Parmesan cheese now as well. Now it's totally up to you how much Parmesan cheese you add. I'm pretty heavy-handed, but just know that it adds an extra layer of velvety richness. Now, if you used just chicken stock and not stock and milk like I did, now is also the time to add some heavy cream, and I would start with a half a cup of that and then work your way up according to your own taste. The final step is garnishing your risotto, and I'd encourage you to try something that is a little bit acidic, a little bit fresh, something with some zing to brighten up the savory, rich flavor. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope you'll consider subscribing so that you can come back for more culinary delights that come from the Scratchee kitchen. Thanks for coming. Wait, what?